Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson. I have Moon Girl Sarah Garcia here with us, and you are watching the Paranormal Dolls. We are live to you. We bring this show to you through the Glenda's Magical Creations channel on the Conscious Awakening Network on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and so many other streaming platforms. Today we have one of the best that I consider a close friend, a wonderful medium, spiritual person, way beyond Sheena Metal. How are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be here with you both.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke, Linda.
Don't worry, you'll have to pay it back. So, Sheena, how tell us about yourself. So we have the audience here.
I'm a psychic medium. I'm an energetic healer. I'm an interfaith minister. I've been a talk radio host out of Los Angeles for it'll be 29 years in August. I'm a performing and creative artist, and I'm just kind of feel like this is my service, and I'm here to help and heal as many people as I can. So I do that as much as I can, as often as I can. And that's it. I just kind of stay in service and I wait for the next thing to come. And I say yes to a lot of stuff. I'm also a paranormal survivor. I grew up in a very active haunted house as a kid, a very negative house. And that kind of formed a lot of who I am. And I'm a second generation psychic medium. My mother was also a psychic medium. We are of Irish descent. So I think that's being a psychic medium, sort of part of my ethnic lineage. And I don't know, that's pretty much it. I'm from New England originally. My mother was from Kentucky, so I consider myself to be sort of a daughter of the North and a granddaughter of the South. And I think there's mysticism both of those places. And I live between Los Angeles and the town I grew up in, about an hour south of Los Angeles. I live on an Indian burial ground. So I basically douche with a selenite wand every day. That's it. There you go. That's it. That's my yeah. I think keeps the natives away.
We need a bigger one.
Tell us some of your paranormal experiences when you were growing up.
Oh God, that house was just awful. It's funny because my mom later told me when she started talking about being a psychic, which she didn't till I was in college, so we were already in California by then, that, you know, my dad got transferred there and we had done that before. I was born in Connecticut. We got transferred to Chicago. Then we got transferred to Baltimore. And then we got transferred to Los Angeles. So you kind of put a pin in everywhere I lived. So she said, you know, they would take us to like 20 houses a day because you had like 2 weeks to find a house before we got transferred. She said we walked into that house. She felt like hundreds of arms, like doing this, like not this one, not this one. But my father.
So of course we went to that one. No.
Well, my father, who carried a lot of negativity within himself, of course, fell in love with that house. And that's very common, right? That a person who is either weak or negative or both, as he was both, will fall in love with a house like that. It will almost seduce them. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what it was. It sort of seduced my father and attacked my mother at the same time. And I sort of just got attacked kind of by proxy because I was there. But yeah, it was a super negative house and anything you can imagine, right? Footsteps walking upstairs when no one was there, scratching behind the walls, cabinets opening and cans of things flying out. The dishwasher flew up from the down position hard enough to knock my mom's kneecap off. And she had to have surgery. And the day she got home from surgery, her crutch flew across the room, landed right on her incision, reopened it. She had to go back and have it redone. Lots of, sleep paralysis with lots of entities coming at you in the night. For my mom, it was kind of a a rapey thing, like the entity case out here in Culver City. For me, it was more just of like being pinned down and suffocated. All the while my dad like, oh, you girls are crazy. There's nothing going on in this house. Years later, after I had made a paranormal documentary, I brought it to my parents to watch at Christmas. My dad was in his 80s by then, and he watched it. And because my dad was an engineer, and he liked robots more than people, when he saw like machines capture the paranormal, then suddenly the paranormal was real. And he's like, oh, when we lived in that house, every night at 3 o'clock in the morning, a Franciscan monk would come and sit on the end of the bed and look at me. And then he would stand up and walk through the wall. But I didn't think it was paranormal. So I think when you don't have paranormal on your radar,
Right.
it doesn't occur to you something's paranormal. The truth was, even he, as blocked off as he was from all things spiritual and from all things emotional, even he was having this nightly experience there. And then we left, we got transferred here. Every house we ever lived in till we got here, my parents would tear it apart and make it just what they wanted, because somehow they always thought they were going to stay, and then he'd get transferred again. Every time they would sell it for so much more because they put so much into it. We moved here, we couldn't sell that house. Like, it just wouldn't sell. And finally, my parents had to take a huge hit on it just to get rid of it. And last summer, I was doing a guest spot on my friend Andrea Perrin, who grew up in the Conjuring house, has a new show coming out. And I was one of her first guests. And we were talking about growing up in haunted houses. And she asked me to go look up that house. And I looked it up on Zillow. And it was completely overrun with ivy. The backyard was so overrun that the shot they do from the satellite, you couldn't see anything but treetops. And it was literally listed for the same price my parents listed it for in 1980. So obviously it's just been a house that never could sell, never appreciated, and finally now looks as ugly on the outside as it is on the inside. And I think that's really interesting because it's rare, I think, because it was beautiful inside when we left. My parents redid everything, but nobody wanted it. And I think maybe that was almost like, Spirit's way of protecting people from moving in there. But even now today, and it's on a very nice circle in a very nice neighborhood, and all the houses are very nice. And this one, it looks like Grey Gardens. I mean, it looks like nobody's lived there in 150 years. So I think that's very interesting how a place sometimes can just be wrong. And I don't know what can be done for a place that's like that, but it changed me forever. I mean, I sleep with the Food Network on and about 75 salt lamps as night lights. So I don't think I would ever spend the night in the dark again, certainly not alone. Oh, I hear dinging. It's my child has come to visit. I hear here's my little baby. Here he is.
Oh.
So
Hi, Colin.
he likes to hug his mama. He doesn't like to be without me.
Oh.
Such a good boy.
I'm so glad he's there. Good.
Yeah.
So, like you said, now what did your father say once he admitted that that monk was there? Did you say, why didn't you tell us, or was there any?
Right, I think my mom yelled at him for about 5 minutes. When he started with when we lived in the house, my mom was like, oh, don't you even start, because it was years and years of you girls are crazy and you girls made this up. No, I don't think he ever acknowledged the paranormal was real. But the interesting thing was he had some of the freakiest paranormal experiences. When I was in my early 20s, I had just moved out about my house. He had a sextuple bypass surgery, a cardiac bypass surgery. And when he was in the hospital, they couldn't get him to wake up after the surgery. Like his vitals weren't bad. Nothing was wrong with him. He just wasn't waking up. And they told my mom, look, you have to go down there and ask him to wake up because he's not waking up on his own. So she did. She went and she asked him to wake up. And he told her that there was a big black bird with a briefcase in its claws. And he was flying along next to it, and it was telling him they were going where he had to go. And then she woke him up from that. But apparently that was going on for, weeks. He wasn't coming out of the surgery.
Mm.
Then they discovered he had a brain tumor. This was years later. He was 87 when he died. And the night before he had the surgery, he told my mom, "Do you see the birds?" And she said, "What birds?" And he said, "They're black birds flying over the TV. Do you see them?" And she said, "No." And then when he was in the hospital, so he came out of the surgery, turned out he had brain cancer. He came out of the surgery and he barely knew anything. He barely knew his name. And he was in a rehab facility and they were trying to get him sentient enough for him to come home. And he got very mean. He was, hitting the nurses and hitting the ambulance drivers. And he had made his roommate cry. And they asked me to come in and talk to him because he was making people cry. And they don't want all their people crying, right? So first I had to literally put my arms around this man I didn't know who was crying because my father was so mean that he had made him cry. And then keep in mind, my father didn't know who any of us were after the surgery. He didn't recognize me. He didn't recognize my mom. And I came and I told him, "You're not allowed to make people cry anymore." And he said, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm the person that's in charge of what happens to you. And I'm telling you, you're not allowed to make people cry." Now, this is a man who had spoken almost nothing but 1 or 2 words at a time since the surgery. And he said to me, "You're the person in charge?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Let me ask you something." And I said, "Okay." Now, this is like, he's like totally sentient now, right? He said, "There are these things and they're big and they're black and they have wings. And they keep telling me I belong to them. But there are these other things and they're blue and they look like they would be hot if you touch them, but they're not. And they're like a blue-white. And they're telling me that I don't have to listen to the black things and I can come with them if I want. So what the hell am I supposed to do?" And I just kind of sat there like, and I said, "Well, I guess, you got to go where you got to go." And then he immediately went back to doing nothing but saying his name. Like he hadn't even, and then that night he died of a bladder infection that they didn't know he had.
Wow.
So I really think there is a definite force of light in the universe. There is a definite force of dark in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And there are beings that decide to go one way or the other, or a lot of people just sit on the fence and go whichever way pleases them at the time. And I really think that he was trying to decide which way he was going to go. And my mom would be very haunted by that for the 4 years she lived after that. Which way did he go? Did he kill somebody and we just don't know? But I don't know that I think that you need to murder somebody to have a definite force of negativity within you. I think sometimes the biggest way you can be dark is to just not do anything for anyone but yourself. You know what I mean? To me, that's a lot of how you harbor darkness within you. You contribute nothing to the world.
Very true.
But this is somebody who did not believe in anything paranormal. And it was one paranormal thing after another. Once they had rushed him to the hospital because his blood pressure got too low. And he started saying that he was sitting in a cab in New York and it wasn't going anywhere. And he kept saying, "What's a guy got to do to get where they're going?" And then years later, I found out from a friend of mine who was studying to be a hospice nurse that there's a guy who's written a lot of books about hospice, a very famous guy about being a hospice nurse and opening hospice centers. And it's one of the main things when spirits are stuck between life and death. They feel like they're in some mode of transportation and it's not moving. So just all kinds of wacky stuff like that. So for somebody who, I grew up with this father who was a hardcore atheist, lapsed Catholic, there is no nothing, it's only about machines. He had more spooky stuff happen to him. My mom, literally, she told me she wanted me to send her home. I put her in palliative care. She was gone in an hour. There was nothing, no drama. Her soul shot out of her solar plexus and she was done. So maybe there's more struggle if you're not a believer. It's just a thought.
Right. Yeah, could be. So, it kind of makes sense, especially after witnessing your father and then your mother. The difference of how one just kind of said, "Okay, I'm going to go," and went peacefully, versus the other one who kept struggling back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah, struggling to find out where he was going to go when he died, whereas my mom had everything all planned ahead of time, so it was just very smooth and easy.
Right. So now I know you said that the first house basically was very active.
Yeah.
And now you're living in native land.
Yeah. Yes. Underwater, below sea level.
Below sea level. Okay.
Yes.
So you have the conduit of the water.
Yes, I do. Right. My whole backyard is a pool. So there's more water than anybody could ever want in their life.
And then you're native ground. Now, how does that work with the spirits there?
Well, I feel them outside of the house all the time, especially at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel them. So I'm living in part of the house right now while I wait to get the rest of the house remodeled. And then I'm going to take the part I'm living in and move to the other part and remodel this part.
Right.
So I can feel, so the only parts that are really warded right now are the parts that I'm living in. And I can feel them around the periphery in the other rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally I see them out of the corners of my eyes here. I'll see something and I'll look and there'll be nothing there. Cullen, of course, sees everything. I'm like, oh, honey, why are you looking over there? Don't want to know that's there, honey. But yeah, he's he's especially fascinated with the backyard. And I'm about to have security cameras put everywhere. And I know I have to put one in the backyard, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to know what's going on in that backyard. So I see a bunch of Native Americans wandering around back there. I might get freaked out. Because I do have, I have paranormal survivor PTSD from growing up in that house.
Right.
I ward with let me see, I'm in my office right now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 salt lamps in this room, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 selenite wands and a selenite tower, and I have 2 brooms in here. So my whole house is salt lamps, selenite wands, and brooms. And I tell people when I teach, I just taught at the Parapod convention a couple months ago, and I tell people, I'm serious. Selenite wands, salt lamps, and brooms, and it does keep this stuff away.
It does. It does. I'm just laughing because I'm thinking, okay, I should tell you, when you're about to do the other side of the house,
yeah,
I want to know because I want to get stocks on the selenite and the salt lamps.
Right? I'm coming. Well, I'll tell you, they have beautiful salt lamps at CVS at Christmas. This is a crazy story. And the day after Christmas Day, they go on sale for half price. And New Year's Day, they go on sale for 75% off. So literally the first week of January, I think I went to 37 CVS's.
You just hoarded all of them, didn't you?
And I got 35 salt lamps at 75% off. So I already had a handful of them.
Right.
And I just filled the house. And I have a hutch in the hallway where I have enough selenite, enough salt lamps and enough brooms to do the whole rest of the house. The selenite I still have to work on. So I'm all set to do the whole house when it's ready. Because, you never know when you're going to get a deal like that again.
Yeah, no. You had that. I do the same thing.
But it's, this stuff works. And people that tell me, like, I'm having sleep paralysis, I'm having visitations. I'm like, why are you not sleeping with a selenite wand right next to your bed or under your pillow or on your headboard and a big old hunk of black tourmaline? Because it helps.
Yeah. Yeah. I have them all over my bedroom, actually all over the house too. And because I have a house from 1900. So as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And I have springs, underground springs. So there's the water conduit section. So I get all kinds of things. And I'm like, no. And then I go right after Halloween and get all the cinnamon brooms from
me too.
Yeah. From all the places because they goes on sale then.
Yeah.
So, and all over the place. Front of the back of the house.
Yeah.
So
Yep, I keep threatening to mount one over the front door. I probably will after the remodel. I'll get a big one and put it over the front door.
Yeah.
and then
So
I've been
you're
doing the little circle, the little disco balls with all the mirrors
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
in all the windows. So
Oh, okay.
good.
stay back.
Reflect that.
So you're
Yeah.
all ready to party.
That's it. And it helps.
No, the ghosts are ready to party, not Glenda. It's the ghost.
Right.
Disco ball.
Yeah.
Well, the way I look at it is if somebody sends something,
Yeah,
it
it's
just-
reflected.
it reflects back to them. So
Yes. Yes.
and
That's a
my
wonderful-
rose bushes, my rose bushes, I have to replace them because of that. So I figured before they get through, because every witch needs a rose bush.
Oh, I didn't know that was a witch thing. And I have a giant rose bush at my city house.
Yes.
And it never occurred. I did not know that was a witch thing. I'll plant some here.
Yeah, that's a witchy thing. It the beauty of the flower gives the peace, and the thorns send us the stuff back. So takes the
Every
hit of
rose has a
somebody.
thorn, baby. Every rose has a
I
thorn.
did not know that. I love that. Okay.
I like Savila though. Savila, how do you aloe? Aloe?
Aloe,
That's how you say
yes.
it?
Oh,
Yes,
that I have a
yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
here. Yes.
Yeah.
Aloe vera.
It- Well, it helps absorb the negativity. That's something
Oh,
my old place I had a lot just in
Yeah.
case. It will absorb all the negativity, and that's also lemon trees or lime trees if you have them in your
yeah. Those I would love just to have the lemons and limes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you are also a talk show host.
Sure.
So can you talk about that?
I've been in radio since August of 1994. I took a radio gig kind of as an accident because I was doing a television show that became kind of popular. And then I got picked up to do a bigger version of it. And I was so excited. Then the Northridge earthquake happened and it destroyed their studio and they canceled a bunch of their programming. They canceled all their new programming, went on hold, and they wound up never developing the channel because their whole studio was a $10 million studio, had been destroyed in the Northridge earthquake. In that time, a friend of mine was doing a radio show in the middle of the night on Sunday mornings, and he wanted to get rid of it because he had a new girlfriend and she didn't like they couldn't go away on the weekends. So he said, hey, take it for a week. They'll probably fire you the next day. But hey, you can say you did a radio show. And I was like, all right. So I did. And they called me the next day to fire me. And they said, actually, we want to keep you and we're going to give you twice as much time. And I knew that first night that it was just what I did. And I have not stopped since then. So I was there for a few years. And then I worked on what was then the Howard Stern station before he went to Sirius. I did shows for that station for 7 years. Then I went to LA Talk Radio for 12 years until COVID. And then I went to iHeartRadio, and that's where I am right now. I'm on Live Paranormal Network through iHeartRadio. I don't know. I love it. I love storytelling. I love people's stories. I love hearing about people. I'm endlessly fascinated by everything and everyone. I love the medium of talking. I love people listening to conversation and learning something, or it making them feel good or warm, or I just love it. I probably will always do it. So I do 2 shows now. I'm developing a third for iHeartRadio and Live Paranormal. And we're moving to a newer platform where we actually tape the shows. We're moving to a newer platform next month that's owned by iHeart. And when we get there, then I'm going to add the third show. And then I do a weekly talk show on Fridays for KGRA, which is on camera, where I interview folks. And it's kind of where my entertainment life, my spiritual life come together. That's called the Sheena Metal Experience. The shows I do for iHeart are Raising the Vibration and Haunted Playground. And then I'm developing a new paranormal show for Parapod Network, a podcast for them called Confessions of a Paranormal Survivor. And then last month, I got asked to develop a show for a wonderful new streaming network that's all over all the platforms. And they're everything. It's movies, it's documentaries, it's music videos. They have a huge catalog that they're developing. And they started in September of last year. They already have 1 million internet, a million exclusive subscribers. So I'm developing a show for them that's going to start the end of June, and it's called Messages from Spirit. And basically I'm actually going to bring like everyday people onto the show with me and read for them, which I've always wanted to do, a show like that. So this one is enabling me to have the platform to do that. And I'm super excited about that. So
Sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes. And it sounds like you're keeping yourself very busy.
Oh, yeah. Right. Things just keep coming. Yeah. I just keep getting things coming, and I just keep having more wonderful people come to me and ask me to do things. And I believe in the art of saying yes,
Mm-hmm.
I love to collaborate with people.
No.
Yeah, I'm just not there yet. I'm all about the saying yes.
No, I love to say yes because I look at it as an opportunity and to give more healing to everyone. We do these type of things so others can understand that they're not by themselves.
Yes.
Or that, other people had similar experiences, that it isn't that they're crazy, that it isn't that they should be locked away or anything like that. And it's very important.
I agree.
Very important to get the community to understand that we have all experienced things. It is now time to actually know that you're not alone.
Yes. Yes. And people like, do you sleep? Do you do it? Yeah, I see my friends, I sleep. I have a very thriving spiritual practice. I see a lot of clients. I don't know. There's a lot of hours in the day to fill, right? Why not fill them helping people?
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. So, what else would you like to tell us?
What else? What else would you like to know? I'm loving the magic of living at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up here. I loved living here, but I moved to LA because there really wasn't an art scene here, and I was an actor and a writer. So I moved up north to really pursue art.
Mm-hmm.
But the world has changed and things have become virtual. And, because of traffic, it takes a while to get to Los Angeles from here because of Southern California traffic. But now, especially since COVID, everything has become virtual. Yes. And even all my studios for my shows, even this new one, it's all going to be done virtually. So it's afforded me the opportunity to be able to build a life down here and be close to the ocean. Like I said, my best friend lives about 10 minutes away, and I go to her house a lot for dinner, or I have dinner with friends, and I always at the end of every night, I always go to PCH and I drive home that way, Pacific Coast Highway. So every night I look at the ocean, and the ocean, we've always lived on the water. My dad was an amateur boat builder. And so we always lived near water. Even in Chicago, we lived on Lake Michigan. And the water has always been very healing for me. And I'm loving the energy of being here in this place. The tract that I live in kind of butts up to a wildlife preserve. So there's a lot of birds. And, the poor Cullen loses his mind. There's so many birds. He loves it. And there's a lot of animal activity in the yard and all kinds of stuff. And I have owls, and I have a dove's nest right outside my door right now. And I have mallard ducks that swim in my pool every morning, and they bring their babies when the babies come. So it's just it's peaceful here. And I think that my whole life has been run, and service. And I love that. But it's kind of nice to be in a place now where it's wound down a little bit. And really, this town kind of comes to life with the sun and goes to bed with the sun. I'm a night owl, so I do not do either. But I do like sort of the peacefulness of how quiet it is here at night. And I never thought I'd say that. I was a city girl through and through. But part of it is the world changed, and part of it is I changed. And also, I think when you're doing this work full-time, reading for clients, which I've really only been doing this full-time for 5 years, you need that sort of respite to recharge. And I find that the ocean is a wonderful way to recharge. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. I unfortunately am about 2 hours away from the beach right now, but if I could, when I lived in New Jersey, I would just like my kid's father would pick up the kids because we were divorced on Friday night, and I would take off right to the beach. And,
Sure.
yeah.
Bikini and all.
And I would just sit there and watch the sunset or watch because I myself am a night owl usually.
Yeah, I
Lately,
am
not
too.
so much. But, I'm definitely not a morning person. But I
Yeah.
would definitely stay up all
You
night and
got
then just
Brenda.
watch the same sunrise and then go have coffee, breakfast, whatever, then go home and take a nap and then start it all over again. But that was my
It's nice.
beautiful time there. I could spend, balance, rejuvenate, and
Yeah.
just be at peace with myself. And
Yeah.
basically just be, just melt in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
I
and
just,
being here with all my mom's energy, I'm sitting at her desk right now doing this. Those that guide us in our lives guide us after they're gone. And she's always guided me from about 45 minutes after she passed. But being here in this place and her energy, and especially in this room, which was her office, it was like her mom cave, where she first discovered her psychic gifts, where she studied to become a hypnotherapist, where she realized that she was a witch and started practicing. All of that happened in this room. And so to be here in this room now and be using this room as my office for my work, that's a magic feeling, I can't imagine doing it anywhere else now.
yes, it's special, real special blonde.
Yeah, it is for sure. It's nice. And that's kind of I'm just so excited about everything in my life. I'm excited about, I don't even know what to say past that. I'm excited about everything in my life. And this cat who you saw a little while ago, I mean, this guy he's my soulmate. I mean, I've had him since he was 3 days old. And, when he was 3 days old, he was about like that big. He kind of crawled up and put himself right here over my heart and went to sleep. And he's kind of never stopped. It's just he's still so attached to my heart. And it's so wonderful to do this work with him. So my last one, Molly, she died a couple of years ago. She was 18. She was a Scorpio. So she was super psychic, but, hated everybody but me, like Scorpios. And, she was very psychic. Like she would chime into readings and answer questions when people asked them. And it would get to the point where clients would say like, well, I want to hear what Molly thinks. And I'm like, Molly's napping. Molly's in the cat box. Well, can I wait till she gets out? This one is different. This one's a healer. So I do live psychic broadcasts 3 days a week where I just read for folks on social media. And he comes up and literally his energy heals people. And I think a lot of people come to the lives now just for him. So it's wonderful. I'm sorry?
He's the star of the show.
He is so the star of the show. And so it's so wonderful to watch him do his thing with people and to heal other people the way that he's healed me. And I'm kind of just loving, and I'm when I went to Parapod, I went and spent the weekend up there, and I took him with me. It was his first time in a motel, and he did great. And so we're going to do some things like that when I teach, and then eventually figure out how to get him on an airplane. I think he'll be really good about flying because he's great about the car. And just take him everywhere so he can bring his healing and I bring my healing, and we kind of work together on our healing. So that's the first time. I mean, I've always had animals and I love animals, but it's the first time I've ever had one that I wanted to bring places with me and incorporate into my spiritual work. And it's amazing. So I highly recommend that if anybody has an animal that's interested in getting involved in the work that they're doing.
Right. Well, to that effect, I actually attune animals to Reiki.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, because a lot of people do have like service animals or animals that they take with them all the time.
Right.
So I attune them to the Reiki, and then they could feel the difference when they are down, when the animal reacts to them and gives them extra healing. So
Sure.
it makes complete sense to me.
Yeah.
So this the newest
Right.
venture that you have.
Uh-huh.
Have you thought of how you're going to bring that into play, or just?
Yeah, I'm working with my producer on it now. I think basically it's going to be a little bit of I'm going to give a little bit of a spiritual talk at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
something that's on my mind in the world of spirituality or psychic stuff that's, I think, an interesting thing to share with somebody. I have a nonprofit, which is called raisingthevibration.org, that I founded to carry on my mom's teachings after she passed in her honor. So I always talk a little bit about vibration raising. As an interfaith minister, I talk a lot about one human family and how basically we're all interfaith because it's what everybody believes mixed
Mm-hmm.
together into one earth. So I'll talk a little about stuff like that. And then I'm basically going to line up folks to call, let them know they're going to be on camera, and just put something out there to my clients and my viewers saying, hey, who wants to be on the show? And pick some folks every week and then let them come on and ask their question. And then I'll have a little bit of time, not just to answer the question, but also to kind of work through some stuff with them so that they hopefully get a little bit of healing out of it. I'm not a big fan of, look, I understand it's part of the business. I don't know how the two of you feel, but I'm not a big fan of the dog and pony show. Like, I'll do it. I have a client. She's been my client for like 5 years. And she always says to me, like, what did you see about what happened last night? And I'm like, look, I can play that game where I have to give you the answer for everything. But if you're really coming to me for healing, isn't it a better use of your time for you just to tell me what it is you want an answer to? So I'm not a big fan of just that, like, cold, like, I can do it. I can do all the parlor tricks, but I don't think it makes for as interesting of a show as somebody comes to you with a question seeking help and healing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can help get the answers, speak to the person they want to speak to, or speak to spirit about them, and then help them work through what they need and get a little bit of healing, and everybody goes away a little bit healed.
Yes, that sounds the right way to do it. Definitely.
That interests me a lot, because I think that people don't realize maybe that a lot of folks come to psychics not just to get questions answered, but really to get healing in their lives. And that as you're speaking with them on the phone, you're kind of low key sending healing to them, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what I always say when my clients come for readings. Remember, I don't always tell you what you're looking for, but I do give you what your higher self tells me that you need.
Exactly. You can't always get what you want, but you almost always get what you need.
Exactly. Exactly.
The Rolling Stones never fail us.
Yes.
But that's very true, right? And
right.
it's a lot of times they ask the same questions over and over again that aren't really benefiting their healing. And I'll answer those questions, like, when is he coming back? I'll answer those questions, but sometimes you have to think of, like, what can I change within myself to make that situation better, either to help to bring him back or to realize I don't really want him back by making the changes inside of me.
Right. Perfect way of putting it.
So I try to help people with that.
We do get sometimes stubborn clients,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That, or I've had clients where, I guess they hear word of mouth, so then they try to put a block. I can still pass the block, doesn't matter to me. But
sure.
My point with that is, then they're like, oh my gosh, okay, she knows. They're like, you do yourself a disservice because you're paying me for a service.
Yes.
So it's like, do you want me to know, or are you trying to test me? Because we can do that too if you want. That's fine. But then when that happens, you're going to be disappointed because I was able to break that wall, which I do.
Right.
And then, and then what? For what?
Yeah. But what a waste of your time. I mean, if you call me and you only have a certain amount of time for your reading and you're like, okay, I met 5 guys this week. Can you describe each one to me? Yeah. But isn't that sort of a waste of your time? I mean, but some people just want to do the tricks, right? Because they're always testing you. No matter how long they've worked with you, they're still testing you. And I try to help my clients move past that mentality, because I think putting up that wall, that block of, well, how can you show me it's not all a bunch of crap? I think in life that carries over to your personality, and you find you're not getting a lot of things that you want in your life because you're not open. You're always putting that wall up. You're always trying to make spirit, God, prove to you why what they're doing is right, but they don't have to prove anything to you because they're higher power. So it's so much better just to live open and let things come than to play this constant distrust game.
Yes, definitely. Because not only does it waste time, but it also puts a negative
already
vibration.
on the reading.
Yes.
Already
Yes.
With negative.
I agree. And I also think that talking about stubbornness, Sarah, the when is he coming back? When is she coming back question. I find sometimes with those folks that when I finally get to the place where I'm like, okay, so let's talk about you and how to make you happy and how to make you healthier, you actually energetically feel them start to resist you.
Yeah, the pushback.
Yeah, because they don't want to talk about them. They want to talk about when he's coming back. But sometimes in order to smooth a relationship over or get people on their path again, especially with soulmates and twin flames, people with soul ties and soul karma, you're part of that couple. You got to get yourself on that path too. And obviously you've seen from proof that you acting this way and him acting that way is not making him come back. So how about we try something a little bit different?
Right.
But the couple readings, those I'm like, I'll do them, but I don't want to do them because there's always some truth that comes out. And I tell them, look, if we're going to do this, I'm just going to be real with you because I don't like to lie. If something comes up that he's doing something or you're doing something, this is what you paid for. You said you wanted a couple's reading. So just be prepared for that.
Yes.
So
yes.
But I'm like, but then you're like kind of like, oh God, this is gonna cause a problem, but they paid for the service. Oh well, this is what you wanted. Here it is.
Yes, so. Exactly. Yes. Yeah, 100%. Yes, it's 100% true. And they don't understand sometimes that you'll tap into a spirit for a timeline of when he might come back. And then that timeline can shift. Well, timelines shift, right?
Right.
Spirit shifts. And also sometimes people have free will and they decide not to honor that timeline and they shift it. So people that think that they're going to come to you and you're going to give them a concrete day and time, and that's going to be 100% the day and time. Well, that's not how the universe works. And you know what I mean? And if I could honestly do that, I would get lottery numbers and go to the horse track and get numbers. And I would just be a gazillionaire and just hug people for a living.
There you go. I actually have taken the thought of and the hard line of not doing couples, because the last couple I did do was Valentine's Day, and they wanted a couples reading, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. This just doesn't feel right. And I kept trying to push them aside about that and change their mind. I even offered, for the price of, don't worry, but I have to do you separately. Well, the guy was hoping to have a child by a year or two. She had gotten her tubes tied and was fooling around. So I'm like, how do I say this?
There ain't no beta coming.
Yeah, no. So I was like, no. After that one, I was like, no more. I don't care what it is. Nobody's ready to really hear the truth.
Yes.
No, they're not. When you're doing a couples reading, they're not. And that's why I do a disclaimer. I'm like, look, I'm going to say whatever comes out because I don't like to lie. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you want it, you want to do it separately. And, sometimes it can get uncomfortable, Glenda, as you know. And I'm like, look, this is what it is. Oh, you're talking to somebody else? Oh, what? You wanted the truth? Here it is.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to know how truthful to be. It's hard.
It is.
It's hard. It's and the kind of things people want. They want their death date. They want to know when their mom's going to die. They want to know when they're going to, sometimes they're not even with the guy yet. They already want to know the date they're going to break up forever. It's like, why? One wanted me to get, I want the new girlfriend's social security number and address. It's like, why would spirit give me that information so you can go and stalk someone? Why would you get your mother's death date
right there?
If you know when your mother's going to die, you're going to treat her totally different. You know, why would you want your own death date? I don't want my death date.
No. That's okay. I prefer just not knowing, living my life fullest.
Yeah.
Each and every day.
Exactly.
And that's it. There's no need.
100%.
I know when I have been given the gift of knowing when people are going to die. So if I see somebody within their 6 months prior to the death, I already know. But I actually don't give them that because that taints their life.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, I guess that because we've been talking about working on some stuff together, I guess that means I'm not dying in 6 months. So
no,
that's a relief.
No, you're not dying in 6 months.
But it's not going to start anything with anybody who's on their way out. So that's a
well,
that's
maybe
good.
Maybe I just,
It's good news. You didn't say, hurry up, we got to do it quick.
That's always a plus.
It's got to be before now and the end of the year. Come on.
We only got till the
now or
end of
never.
the year. No.
That's fantastic.
But I determined a long time ago that was a gift for me to get them on the right track as fast as I could, or at least show them the track that they need to be in as fast as I could.
Yeah.
But not being too open about it and give them that date, because that could be either way. If somebody tells me my date of death, I would be like, okay, let's do everything on my bucket list because I don't care how much I spend, what I spend, whatever, and just do it. But other people may have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And then go into deep depression, and that will bring their death even sooner.
It's true. That's very true. Yeah. I don't want that gift. I don't want to know when people are going. I don't want to know. I don't want to know because I don't want to ask because I don't want to even have the information and then say I won't give it to you. I just won't have it. I don't want to.
No, I can't blame you. I knew when my father was going to die. I knew when my mother was going to die. And my brother one time said, oh, I wish I had that gift. And I'm like, you have no idea.
No.
The burden that is. It's a gift. Yes, it's a gift because it was given to me, but brings a lot of other stuff with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what gifts I don't want, and that's definitely one. I don't want to be a trans medium. Have anybody ever asked you if you'll do that? Some guy wanted me to be a trans medium and take his dog's spirits inside of me and bark. I'm like, no, I'm not. I love spirits. I love to talk to spirits. I do not want spirits inside of me. I'm not allowing your dog's soul to penetrate mine. I'm not going to pee on your carpet or bark
or sniff your butt or any of those.
Right. I'm not going to manifest your cat and ask for a Whiskas temptation. I'm seriously not doing it. But why would you want me to? Why can't I just talk to your babies? Why do they have to be inside of me? He's like, oh, I've heard that all the good mediums are trans mediums. And I'm like, no, it takes a certain kind of person to be a trans medium. And I'm such an empath that if I let a spirit inside of me, I would never be able to forget about that. Once I couldn't unsee it.
Well, I am a trans medium.
Okay, good. I admire you, but I can't.
No, it's not something for the weak.
No.
Because you have to set the boundaries for spirit, and you got to give them even a time limit because you got to make sure you got to get them out. Your time is up. Get out. I don't want you to
well, I have a client and he would love for you to manifest the dogs. So if
thank you.
if you would like to have some poodles Come on through. I know somebody who wants that. I admire you. I don't. It's like, I don't want to live in a haunted house. I know people that are like, I grew up in a haunted house and I want to live in a haunted house with all these spirits. And I have this crazy friend. I love her. So I say crazy affectionately. She did so much ghost box in her house that her house became like the bar from Star Wars. Like, there were so many spirits in there. She couldn't sleep. The animals were dying. And I'm like, stop doing the spirit box in your house. So when she moved, I'm like, please, never again, not this house. And luckily she doesn't. But so that's another thing I don't do. I don't do spirit board, ghost box, pendulum inside of my house, the divining rods in my house. Right. I have all that stuff in the trunk of my car in a bag, and I will come to your house and do it, but I'm not doing it in my house because it's another thing. I have to have peace. Right. Some kind of peace, because there's so much going on in here and in here. Anyhow, I need peace.
Valid.
But did you guys do that? Do you do Ouija board in your homes?
I don't do Ouija boards. I cannot stand Ouija boards. I take everybody's Ouija boards, and if I could, I would burn them and bury them. But because, you know, even when you're a teenager, everybody gets into, oh, let's see what it is. And they open that portal. They don't know how to close it. And it isn't always Auntie M or Grandma D who comes through that. And that creates a whole other mess and problem. But I don't work with Ouija boards.
It's usually a super creeper. I always say playing the Ouija board is like taking off all your clothes and going into a bar at 2 a.m. and saying, who wants to have sex with me? Like, you're going to get takers, but who are you really going to get as the takers?
Right.
So when you open up the board and say, does anybody want to talk to me? Oh my God, every celestial freak from here to Jupiter is going to show up. But are those really who you want to talk to? Sarah, what about you? What do you think about this?
Well, I love divination work. I practice all types of divination work. The only problem I have with the Ouija board is people don't properly use them. So it also gives them a bad. So here's the thing. If you're going to use them, to me, that's fine. Each his own. I use a Ouija board, but a lot of the times when something bad happens because of the Ouija board is because you're not using it properly. You're not supposed to use it alone. You're not supposed to put your hands on the front head. You're supposed to say goodbye. Some people leave it open. You have to be precise of who you're asking to come in, not just anybody or anything, like you guys were saying. I don't mind it. Like I said, I like doing different forms of divination. It's fine with me. My only problem with it now is my dog, because I have my dog now, and I just don't want to have things open for him because I have to go sometimes. And I go to the store and go this or that, and I'm scared of leaving him alone. And if something bothers him, so with the haunted dolls, I have too, and we talked about that on your show that I just did with you. There's one in particular that he's really scared of, so I'm thinking about getting rid of that one just because of him. You know, my sons, they're used to all this crazy, wacky stuff. They know what's up. So, you know, they have experiences. They come to me like, oh my God. I'm like, all right, okay, well, you know, we'll work on it. We'll do something. But the dog can't tell me anything. So that's what he'll bark at it. But, you know, I'm concerned for my dog. But yes, do I use divinations? Absolutely. Yeah. But again, you have to know how to use them properly. That's
exactly. And I love them. I love using them. I just don't want to do them in my own home. And even the paranormal stuff, I'm all about Ovulus and the ghost box and everything, just not in my house. And one time, because I collect pendulums, and one time I got my first pendulum at Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville. My mom grew up in Louisville, interestingly enough. And I had just gotten this pendulum, and I started holding it to look at how beautiful it was, and it started spinning. And all of a sudden, it started telling me that it was my mom, which was weird because my mom and I are in contact all the time. Like, I don't need a pendulum. Right. She's like constantly over my right shoulder, like blah, 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 all the time. And all of a sudden it started saying things and it was spinning. It started spinning really fast. And about 5 seconds in, I'm like, this is not my mom. And I shut the thing down and I'm like, not in my house. Right. Not in my house. I can't. So I love them. And I have them, and I have, like, I just got for my birthday this really cool, like, it's like a holder for them. It's like where you can display them.
Right.
It almost looks like that ride when we were kids at the carnival that had the swings. It looks like that. And I love it. I love this. So I can't wait to bring them all down from the other house and display them all. But
Right.
I don't open anything up. I don't open up a hole in the veil and start trying to use them in my house.
Right.
Because I don't want any scragglers here.
No.
I spent my whole life trying to get away from living in a haunted house. And so we don't need that here. And I was telling you earlier, Sarah, when you did my show, I don't want Cullen exposed to it.
Right.
He's an innocent, and I don't want spirits coming here and messing with him.
And that's it. You know, I have 2 dogs, 4 cats, and the one cat, she can see everything. And she actually starts going,
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, we have an unwanted visitor. Okay, thank you. And I get rid of that.
Yep.
And I don't, we don't have to bother with anything else. No, this is why basically I started this center, because I wanted to not have the clients in my house.
Yeah.
Get them out of my house.
I don't want clients in my house.
Yeah.
I think the energy, anyone can have good or bad energy, and to bring that into your house. Plus, I don't want random people to know where I live. I have children, I have my mother, my little dog. So I don't, want clients in my home. I'd rather go or do like videos or phone. Like you said, with the whole Rona thing happened, it really opened everything up for being virtual. And that's how that's how it's going to stay. A lot of things are going to be, especially now till next year. Well, 2024 upward, the AI is going to be crazy. So there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be technology based, virtually based, more school, besides the homeschooling thing that we have, but like that, and more jobs and stuff being from home. So
Very true. So we're almost at the end already. This went fast.
Flew fast. I'll have to do it again. It was so much fun being with you.
Definitely. So is there anything you want to say these last few minutes?
I just want people to try to stay in a positive place. Remember, when you raise your own vibration, you raise the vibration of others around you. And then that in turn raises the vibration of the everything. And it all kind of starts with you, like the 3 of us right now, right? We're all lifting each other's vibrations as we're just sitting here talking. But as we do that, we're unconsciously raising each other's vibrations. And that's what you should be doing every day, whether you're at work or you're on a date with your person, or you're with friends, or you're with your kids, or you're having alone time with your animal companions. Animals just automatically do that. And we should be doing that too. We should always be thinking of, how can I bring more joy to something? How can I bring more love to something? How can I make the world a better place? How can I be more in service? How can I turn a negative into a positive? What can I do for me to lift myself up? I mean, we all should be thinking about this all the time, because it's really easy to get trapped in the what didn't happen for me, or what I'm not happy with, or what makes me feel sad, or what makes me angry, and kind of stay in those places. And it's so important that we replace the negativity with positivity, because the 2 of them cannot live in the same place. It's so that we are constantly lifting ourselves up and lifting other people up. I think that's so important. It's kind of the base of all my work.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So there you go, guys. We love you. We're sending a lot of blessings there to everyone. Sarah, as always, gorgeous. And of course, Sheena, you look fantastic. You're glowing today.
Thank
you. Are glowing.
Thank you, sweetie.
All right. Love yous all. See you next.